Welcome back to my channel, your destination for wardrobe serenity. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know I recently took a deep dive into my wardrobe for a stricter seasonal swap this spring-summer in the Netherlands. I never know whether it's spring or summer. While unpacking my spring-summer clothes, I wanted to ensure that every piece hanging in my closet this season is a piece I actually wear. But during this process, I found myself thinking, why so many of us buy clothes we don't wear or wear only once, dragging them through seasonal swap after seasonal swap? Stay to the end because I'm offering solutions as well to help you break free from this cycle. Before we dive into this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because this is only the first video from a series that will answer the question why we have clothes we rarely wear in our wardrobe. Now let's get started. Have you ever found yourself buying a glamorous dress or an adventurous outfit that you rarely, if ever, get to wear? Because I did. I bought this pair of trousers I wore once. This common phenomenon can be attributed to the concept of the ideal life or fantasy self. The idea of an idealized version of ourselves often drives us to make clothing purchases that do not fit our current lifestyle. Several psychological theories help explain why we do this. One that I would like to focus on is the aspirational identity. Aspirational identity is the desire to become a better version of ourselves, often based on an idealized image. Nothing wrong with that, right? When we shop, we actually sometimes picture a future self living a more exciting or maybe a more glamorous life and buy clothes that represent that aspiration. Buying these clothes makes us feel like we are moving closer to our ideal self, giving us a temporary boost in self-esteem and motivation, even if the clothes aren't practical for our current life actually. Let me give you some real examples that I read on a forum of very honest ladies tackling this subject. One of them states that my fantasy self is this bohemian girl who dresses like she's in a 70s movie. She is a best-selling but also critically acclaimed writer, she's rich, she's in her mid-30s, she's thin yet curvy. But in reality, I never wrote anything. I just spent money on yet another velvet kimono I cannot wear because I work in an office with a dress code and I am actually in my 50s, not in my 30s. Another very candid lady states that one side of me wants to go fully in granola girl aesthetic, but then I have no energy a lot of the days to even fulfill going on hikes. For a while, my fantasy self was Carrie Bradshaw in her tutu and voluminous skirts, always in high heels, and the 1920s flapper at Great Gatsby style parties. But the reality? I was a young lawyer in my 20s with a demanding job, spending most of my time in courtrooms and in my office. Sometimes our fantasy self can be something less obvious that it's a fantasy. Your fantasy self can be somebody who dresses classy and is always put together, who has the money to spend on luxury garments and is always polished with perfect clothes for any occasion. The plaid wool coat in autumn, the perfect white jeans and tee in the weekend in spring, the most luxurious little black dress for a dinner, and classy yet chic pants for work. But the reality is that no matter how much you try, your budget does not allow for such spendings, or you are not comfortable to spend more on clothes, even if your budget would allow you once in a while to indulge in a timeless luxury piece. And basically you end up unsatisfied with those purchases on sales because they don't make you look like that woman. There is nothing wrong with aspiring to become better, and I can even see why some coaches recommend to buy clothes for our future selves. While dressing up can boost mood, improve efficiency, and spur our creativity, and I fully agree with this, and probably gets us closer to that aspirational self we want, this theory has its flaws and should be, I think, approached cautiously. So the question we have to answer and be honest with ourselves is whether that fantasy self should be put to bed because it's just a fantasy character, or it's an ideal self, aspirational self that we can actually achieve. What's the solution to stop buying clothes for a future self and avoid to have a closet full of clothes but nothing to wear because of this? First, have a reality checklist. So before purchasing, ask yourself a series of questions to assess the practicality of that new garment. Questions like, how often will I realistically wear this? Does this garment fit my current lifestyle and daily activities? Do I have occasions to wear this in the near future? Do I already own something similar that I rarely use? An easy exercise to answer this question is to visualize your previous week. It actually all boils down to mapping down that weekly reality routine and to categorize your activities. For example, work in the office, work at home, traveling for work, running errands, exercise, social events, how often and what type of social events you need to attend. Now think whether this new item or items you are coveting match that reality and when you would wear them. How it will fit into your week. Would that garment fill a gap you have in your wardrobe, or would it be just another piece you will not wear? Another way to tackle this is a wardrobe visual guide. Keeping a wardrobe visual guide or an inventory of your wardrobe at your fingertips to remind yourself of what you already own and how it aligns with your actual life is also a good way to distinguish the clothes bought for your fantasy self from those that actually fit into your reality. I showed you how I create this online visual guide to catalog all my clothes in this video. Actually seeing the clothes in an online file and the outfits you can build around those clothes is much more helpful instead of just a list of items noted down in your agenda or even a list on your computer. Once you have this inventory, review it before making new purchases to see if you already have similar items that you don't use frequently. I know time is of the essence and not everybody has enough to conduct such an inventory, especially if you have a large wardrobe. So why not start small? Per season, the seasonal swap wardrobe planning sessions could be a great opportunity. Seasonal swap in itself is such a great way to reconsider your wardrobe and be honest with yourself. How much of the clothes you wore during one season. So I advise you, no matter how busy your life is, to set aside time each season to review your wardrobe. I think 4 times a year is a good start, even if you may live in a country that does not have 4 seasons. You have to prepare for this with the reality checklist I mentioned before and be strict with what you still need and what you do not. Items that only clutter your wardrobe. And if your fantasy self is not a fictitious, non-achievable persona and you already invested heavily in your future wardrobe for your future self, which is achievable, you can decide to store those clothes in a separate place in your home or storage box if you have one. Starting with capsule wardrobe for the season is also an option. Consisting of interchangeable versatile garments that can be mixed and matched for various occasions, wardrobe capsules simplify your morning dressing routine and simplify your life actually. My video on how to start your wardrobe capsule is here to help you. Just have a look. Allocating a specific budget for clothing that suits your current lifestyle and maybe a separate, smaller budget for aspirational achievable items, so not the fantasy unachievable one, if your budget allows you to indulge in such additional spendings, can also be a very good technique. Or you can be even more strict. You can take breaks from spending money on clothes for 3 months or 6 months in a row in a year, depending how large your wardrobe is. I did this last year from January to April and it felt amazing. Also, another thing I did was to sell the clothes I was not wearing and only indulge in that budget when spending on new garments. Sometimes it is worth it to sell 3 unwanted garments to obtain one piece you love to wear and it suits your lifestyle. Here I have a video on how you can start this process of selling on second-hand online platforms. An accountability partner is also an option. So find a friend or a family member who has some fashion sense or more fashion sense to discuss your current wardrobe with, but also potential purchases before buying. Set up a very clear system where you check in with your accountability partner before making any clothing purchases. Discuss whether the item is practical and fits your current lifestyle. Sometimes when we are in the middle of it all, for example, an important event coming up, a group pressure, all your friends, for example, are discussing about that perfect maid of honor dress or that cocktail perfect dress, it can become really difficult to stop the urge of buying new garments. Group pressure is something we will discuss in another video at length. But let me just say that practicing mindfulness techniques to curb impulsive shopping can be really efficient here. When you feel the urge to buy something, take a few deep breaths and use mindfulness apps to center yourself. Reflect on why you want the item and whether it's truly necessary. In the end, you may have plenty of cocktail dresses in your wardrobe, and people's memory is so short anyhow. Nobody will notice you repeat an outfit. And maybe this crowd is another one than the one at the event you attended wearing the same outfit. Wishlist with a time delay. If mindfulness techniques are not for you, another good one is to create a wish list for aspirational items and wait 30 days before purchasing. Revisit the list after 30 days to see if you still feel the same way about the item. Often the initial urge will fade away. Focus on experiences. This is something I said I love about wardrobe capsules. The money spent on clothes can now be invested in experiences that align with your current lifestyle rather than material items. You can redirect your spending towards activities and experiences that enrich your life and align with your actual needs, like workshop, classes, or trips. This will provide lasting memories and personal growth. And who knows, maybe you will get closer to that ideal self than you imagine. This process can be more complex, so why not consider consulting with a stylist or a wardrobe consultant who can help you align your wardrobe with your real lifestyle. A professional can be more objective and quickly understand where you are coming from asking the right questions and discussing with you about your current lifestyle. They can have practical advice on building a wardrobe that suits your daily life. Remember, breaking free from the cycle of buying clothes for our fantasy selves takes time and mindfulness. By using tools like a reality check, a wardrobe visual guide, and setting a clothing budget, we can build a wardrobe that truly serves us. Stay tuned for more tips in my upcoming videos, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next installment in this series. Until then, keep it colorful.